So Nancy Pelosi is the former Speaker of the House and the current Democratic leader, but even more impressively, she's also one of the few voices of reason that Donald Trump seems willing to listen to so far. Who's not one of my last hopes, Nancy Pelosi. How are you, darling?
Good morning, good morning. Happy birthday.
Good morning.
Thank you. What a boost of morale for the people of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, she should be
It's important for people to know that there are more American citizens in Puerto Rico than in probably at least 20 states of the Union.
Really?
And we really have to be there for each other. How about having Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Oh my gosh,
oh my God.
My head is still spinning about
That's
it.
Beautiful.
You know, talking about Puerto Rico, I've been screaming at this table about the administration's, in my view, abysmal response to what is a humanitarian crisis. Why has the response been so different from Texas, from Florida, knowing that these are U.S. citizens suffering?
Yeah. Well, that's the question. And let's give some appreciation to the volunteers of FEMA who did go there. They've been wonderful. What is challenging is that the president keeps giving himself a 10. You know, when people are suffering, even if you think you've done a good job, there's so much more to be done. And it is, I would hope that the difference in terms of response is not as great as it appears to be right now. But certainly, whether it was Katrina or whatever, there were many more troops on the ground immediately. But, you know, let's just talk about doing better and getting water to everyone, getting power to everyone. And just making this a real opportunity for Puerto Rico to leapfrog over the past power grid to something that is a model to the world.
To rebuild.
Yeah, to rebuild. I love Puerto Rico.
Thank you.
Who doesn't love Puerto Rico? We all love Puerto Rico.
We especially love the food. Thank you.
Love
So, where'd the food go?
I know. So good.
So, Congresswoman, I'm going to call you that instead of Nancy today. I'm in a very respectful type of mood today. So, we were talking about...
oh, my goodness. What are we in store for now?
We were talking about General Kelly before.
Yes.
And what do you think about the fact that I think that the reason he spoke is to contain the White House, that he's trying to, because there's no impeachment coming down the pike for those of us who would like to see him out of the office. So he has to live with this, right? We all have to live with this until the next election. So is that what he's doing, or is there some other motivation? What do you think?
Well, let me say, General Kelly is a patriot. Anyone who has lost a child has all of my sympathy. I do want to say, though, that I think that Congresswoman Frederica Wilson has done great things that she's not getting credit for. Since Boko Haram kidnaps the girls, every Wednesday we wear red, or we carry red signs or scarves and get our photos taken to keep sending, we're not forgetting our girls, we're not forgetting our girls. And then when this happened in Niger, we had the picture of the fallen. But Frederica, David Johnson, Sergeant Johnson, he was one of her, she had 5,000 role models of excellence. It's actually like 8,000, but it was titled 5,000 Role Models, where she took these young boys in school and made sure they had good mentoring and the rest. She's accomplished a great deal in all of this. The fact that they would put a president's call on a speakerphone is not unusual, and I'm certain there were other people listening at the White House as well, because it's a start, a call from the president. So I just hope we could do as Megan suggested, let's just take down the heat on this, bring it to a place where there's no doubt in anyone's mind that we respect our men and women in uniform and what they do, and if we lose their lives, that we respect the gold medal families.
She called herself a rock star. And when we showed that clip of her calling herself a rock star, the audience laughed. Is it appropriate? I mean, she goes from a very serious, angry mood, as Megan pointed out, to this other kind of state, and it didn't really play that well, I don't think.
Well, here's the thing. Anytime the current occupant, the President of the United States, attacks you, you get such a positive reaction. That's probably what she was reacting to. Anytime, especially the current occupant of the White House, he's making an attack on her, and people know of her service and her leadership. She's a wonderful, kind person. Dealing with the White House is petty stuff. It's a big deal. And you can just imagine if the president calls you a name, this president calls you a name, what the reaction is from the public.
He has.
But here we are. And I think that's where a lot of people are frustrated because we're engaged in these ongoing cultural wars. I mean, here we are talking about this he said, she said after a fallen soldier died. We know that ISIS this week, I mean, it's usurping other big stories like ISIS is now hanging by a thread. We're not talking about really important stories, but at the end of the day, I think the frustration, you guys have such an opportunity as a Democratic Party, but there's frustration because if you oppose the Democratic Party, you're labeled immediately a racist, a bigot, a homophobe, a xenophobe, and it really shuts down the conversation. So as leader of the party, how do you open up that conversation, Nancy, without the name calling?
Well, I don't really subscribe to the fact that there's a cultural war going on in our country. There are divisions, there are disagreements, and the rest. But I think there's plenty of opportunity to bring people together. And one of the places, and I thank all of you for what you do, one of the places I think are the arts. The arts are a place where people come together. If it's music, if it's drama, whatever it is, they laugh, they cry, they have empathy for each other, they forget differences. And I think we have to, if you're talking about culture, take it to a place that says this is who we are as a people. And while we have our political differences, what we should be talking about is what are their policies and what does it mean in the lives of the American people? And I'd like to take it to that place because, frankly, the place where the Republicans are going now with their budget is a very bad place for our country.